So good morning. 28 April 2020, opening the space called Between, Before and After, entre el antes y el después. And my name is Claudia Dakhil Carcovich. I was born in Lebanon. My father is from Bethlehem, from Palestine. My mother is Peruvian. And my daughter, the father of my daughter is from Cape Verde. I have to say this because my presentation has to do with deep research of who I am and why am I here. And at the end, there was a lot of moments in my life I had to stop and look behind and look at the story and to say, okay, maybe my story has to do with my purpose, because I have to use what I am and how is the story to be able to continue walking. And one of the most important thoughts that bring sense to my life is the multicultural perspective, of course. To find my place in this world, it was important to understand where I come from, and this question was and is still always something very alive for me, no? And professionally, it repeated the same pattern of this research, no? Looking for myself in the different industries, and personally always understanding my values, how I make relations. And so through confusion and through a lot of mistakes, I found some treasures. Little treasures that were like seeds that I take care very carefully, and with time they turned to be a place where I can stay. And so I took care of my personal values. So now I feel healthy, and I have a healthy and beautiful family. And I took care of the seeds of what now is called Meet and Map, which has an area for women's map. Because I know new paradigm is, they say we don't have to talk about gender because we are all human. I understand this point of view, but still I think we have to support women for a couple of generations, especially until the thing is really neutral and we are only human. But so that's why we have a consideration, a special consideration for women. And well, Meet and Map is an association, an international association, a non-profit, to find connections between groups, resources for communities to share knowledge, to join together. And with this purpose, I find individuals very, very interesting, no? Groups that are doing beautiful things that inspire a lot. So that's why this space of interviewing people, for me, it's very important, because it's a way of learning, a way of keeping positive in this world, looking forward to construct what is left to be possible, to be the new that has to come, and to invite others to share their message, and also as a service, no, to share the message. And I am very lucky to share this space with Lucine Ellarian, which is with us now. She's part of this co-creation of interviewing people. She's a friend. She's the godmother of my daughter. I met her when I was pregnant. And we are already like 9 years. We are growing together. And so she saw my seeds and I saw her seeds, and now we these seeds are transforming in trees that are going to give their fruits soon. So welcome, Lucy.
And she likes to do the wave online.
Yes, I like the wave.
Hi, Claudia. Hi, everyone. It's really an honor to be in this platform and to be the first one, well, not the guest, but the co-host of this show. Let's call it a show, no? Because it's also about stepping forward and creating a place for people to come and to talk about things, and also for other people to listen and to learn or to debate or to think about topics. So I am from the Netherlands. I grew up here. I am originally from Armenia. I work as a project manager and I do producing for several cultural institutions here in the Netherlands. And since one and a half year, I've been running a foundation in Armenia in a small rural town in the north that is called Project Sari. And Project Sari does community capacity development through art. So it's quite difficult for me to be stuck in the Netherlands right now because I was supposed to be in Armenia doing some projects, enrolling some long-term partnerships, and I was super excited, but we're all stuck where we used to be when the corona crisis started, so we have to start dealing with issues from a distance as much as possible because sometimes it's not. So yeah, I love to be here in this space and to hear how other people cope with it. For me, in the beginning, it used to be really stressful because I still had the idea in my head that I had to do all these things that I planned for this year. But at one point I just said, I also have to take the responsibility to cancel some of the events and take care of the common health first and not put people in risk, because I was going to do some festivals and some bigger events. It's really a shame because everyone was waiting for it, especially the kids. But we have to find new creative ways. Yes.
Tell us, Lucy, a little bit how did you reach there? Like how you added these experiences until you reached to create your foundation.
So I came to the Netherlands when I was 9. My parents decided to move here, and I kind of grew up in two cultures always. When I used to go home, it was a different culture, and then I had to also adapt to the culture outside. So I was always searching for, but what is correct? But where do I belong? But how am I supposed to be? I didn't understand. And then when I turned 18 or 19, I decided to leave both, and I decided to go to Portugal to do an Erasmus. And that's when I first actually met myself, how I really was, and without all the expectations and without having to adapt. So that was a turning point in my life. And I spent the next 10 years kind of traveling, but also traveling within. I was always searching for solid foundations that I could justify for myself instead of all these patriarchal ideas that I was carrying with me, or the new generation in Amsterdam that was growing up super free, and which was great, but I had to also go home and present myself in another situation. So the contrast was really large. So until my 28th, I was just traveling and studying and living everywhere. And then at one point I decided to return to Armenia because I didn't go to Armenia for over 20 years and I was kind of pushing it forward all the time. And I decided to go for 3 weeks, and I ended up staying for 6 months because I realized when I was there how much work there is to do and how many things I need to discover about myself in order to close the cycle, back to the roots. And one of these days I went to a little village where my grandfather was born, and I fell in love with this little town, and it was incredible. It was a sunny day. It's in the mountains. It's like in a valley. I was like, oh man, I was looking for mountains and I was looking for the sun all my life, and I couldn't understand that maybe it's just here. So I wanted to have, actually, it's a very egocentric reason why I created the foundation. I wanted children to have resources, because if one day I decide to go and live in that little town with my own children, I want them to have access to great education and arts and music and all these things, you know, have a nice recap of the world in that little town. So I founded the foundation, and I really love to be there. And I really understand the impact of something really small in that kind of town. It's a post-communist country, and it's completely forgotten, you know, nothing, no investments, no culture, nothing is happening over there. And now all of a sudden a lot of people from Europe are coming to do like crazy workshops, clowning and juggling and drawing caricatures and giving, I don't know, music lessons. So it's completely opening up this little society, and the children are being re-educated in being fine with themselves, in contact to each other, having respect, tolerating people, trying to understand all these things that they didn't know before. So for me, this feels like the work of my life, and I love to be part of it, and to, you know, to support it.
It sounds very, very, very inspiring, and it sounds also like a new framework for our future somehow. The other day, my partner Cesar told me he saw an article about a small village. I don't remember where it was. That it was abandoned. There was only two men left, mature men, like 55, 60 years old. And they were like, well, let's invite all type of artists to this town, and let's give them free house and let them do what they want. So a group of artists went, and they painted all the houses. They made beautiful atmosphere there with music, with sculptures. It was so beautiful that then tourists were attracted there. So at the end, the village it became from one extreme to another, to be the end of the world with nothing, the most innovative and vibrant, a healthy area, no? So what you are talking about in the end of the world there in a rural village in Armenia, no? I think it's something with our days that hopefully will grow more and more, like because there is a lot of young people that don't know what to do with their time and their talent, and there is a lot of space that needs care and talent. So joining them together.
People are always talking about being successful, no? For me, it was always a weird concept. What does it mean to be successful? Like, do you have to have a Mercedes and then you're successful? I start to revalue the success, you know, because for me in the beginning was also, I was studying economics, and I thought if I have a great house near the beach and I have a nice car, and then I'm going to be successful. But now I understand that even having a cultural center in the middle of this rural town is not even successful. You're only successful when you start affecting someone's life in a positive way. And this doesn't need any financial or you know, it's not connected to any kind of monetary value. You can just be there for some child and tell him, listen, I understand that the society is hierarchical and you have to listen to your parents. I'm also an adult. You can talk to me about being in love with someone, you know, just talk to me and I'm gonna be like your friend. And then they start to understand, hey, listen, this person is so much older than me, but I don't have to be scared. I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to put myself in weird situations. I can just be myself. And that's totally fine. And for us, this is like the concept of, creating a healthy place for children to grow up. But in this kind of societies, it's completely not. So it's something very, very rare for me to be there and to say to the kids, look, we are going to spend the afternoon walking to the hill and then walking back. And we'll see what happens in the middle. We don't care. We are not prepared. We just stay safe because we have several adults to walk with us. That's all, And for them, it's like, oh, we don't have to be productive. We don't have to hide things. We don't have to run away. We don't have to be rebellious, So for me, it's also like redefining all these things. When I went there 1 year ago, I thought they need a cultural center, they need music lessons, they need which they do. But what they really need is attention and love and respect and someone just that is listening and is there,
Simple, very simple things, no?
Yeah. So I'm super happy to create this place also to together with you, to invite all kinds of people that are inspiring to us, and to listen how they are dealing, because for me it's quite difficult in this moment that I cannot be there and do something that I love and that I think is valuable, and for you is the same. And we talk about how we deal with it and we learn from each other. But I'm also really curious to hear how other people are doing it.
I have to say that this general situation, it's an excuse to talk and to redefine our lives. But we were already in that questions before, and we were already attracted to meet interesting people that makes us feel inspired and that helps us to look forward. And this space, I made this drawing that we will see in the further, this space, this historical moment we are living now, with the uncertainty as a center point, and with different perspective, alternative social structures, spiritual, ecology. It's in Spanish because we're going to make it bilingual, this space. The reality, it means like, well, the logistical, social part, no, the politics, the hospitals, economic, the shamanic, the personal. It's just like an example of different perspectives driven through this feeling of uncertainty. We are going to be as multilateral as we can be, like, but of course always in constructive conversations that can inspire us some direction. So this situation is only an excuse for us to start a conversation with the world.
With the world.
See?
I'm looking forward to our first guest.
Yes, we will see who will it be. Surprise, surprise. So it's okay for us this time of a presentation. Now we continue for the next one. Okay, so see you. Hope you continue with us.
Yes. See you to the next one.
See you in the next one.